As the smallest and most affordable model in the Subaru portfolio, the Impreza has a pretty important role, and since the current generation was introduced back in 2016, it's time for an all-new model, which is why I'm here in Malibu, California with the all-new 2024 Impreza. It's sleeker, more powerful, has way better tech, so let's go ahead and take a first look. Hey everybody, before we get started with the video, I am super excited to announce that we are once again partnering with Omaze so we can give you guys an opportunity to win one of the craziously quick electric SUVs on the planet. I'm talking about the Tesla Model X Plaid and support a great cause like Reverb. Now, the Tesla Model X Plaid needs no introduction. It's been one of the most talked about electric SUVs around the world, and the Plaid model takes it to the next level, surpassing ludicrous levels of speed with up to 1,020 horsepower from 3 electric motors, 0 to 60 in just 2.5 seconds, a top speed of 163 miles an hour, and roomy seating for up to 7 people. Now personally, when I'm not doing these car reviews, one of my favorite things to do is actually go to live music festivals, so everything that Reverb stands for is right up my alley. Reverb is the leading in green music movement, and they partner with artists, festivals, and venues to reduce their environmental footprint while empowering millions of fans to take action on today's most pressing environmental issues. So what are you waiting for, guys? For a chance to win this stupidly fast electric SUV and support a great cause like Reverb, please be sure to go to www.omaze.com/Redline Reviews. And now, let's get back to the video. So before we start talking about the styling direction for the 6th generation Impreza, I want to show you guys what's underneath the hood. Now, Subaru has actually simplified things because the sedan is gone. You only get the hatchback now here in the US, and it'll be available with 2 different engines. The base engine on the base and the sport trim will be a 2-liter 4-cylinder boxer engine with direct injection. That makes 152 horsepower, 145 pound-feet of torque. However, for the first time in years, Subaru has finally returned the 2.5-liter engine option to the regular base Impreza. It's standard when you guys go for this new RS trim. It's the same motor that we find, of course, in the new Subaru Forester and the Legacy. It's the company's 2.5 direct injection boxer flat 4, making 182 horsepower and 178 pound-feet of torque. It actually has 2 more pound-feet of torque compared to the same engine in other Subaru models. Subaru also says that torque basically comes into the power band about 700 RPM sooner, so you should have better real-world acceleration. The manual transmission is also gone. All of them will come with their linear-tronic CVT, which has been enhanced, and then it's a Subaru symmetrical all-wheel drive, which has also been enhanced, comes standard on every version of the Impreza. Now, currently, I don't have fuel economy information just yet. I don't have curb weight figures just yet, but this 2.5 is definitely going to be a welcome addition because the previous generation wasn't really underpowered, but it definitely was on the slower end when you look at the compact hatchback segment. But let's go ahead and close up the hood and talk about the styling direction. Now, I mentioned earlier, the sedan is gone. You can only take your pick of the hatchback here in the US. And I have to say, Subaru has kind of struggled a little bit for me in terms of building a nice looking vehicle in terms of the exterior design. They've been going a little overboard with the cladding. So it's really nice to see that the new Impreza doesn't really have any cladding on it. Of course, they're gonna probably save that for the next generation Crosstrek. Expect them to show that probably sometime next year. But you can see this RS version has a new design language that really makes the Impreza look a little bit more sophisticated, a little bit sleeker. You can see it has the same kind of hexagonal grille that we saw on the new WRX. It has the kind of black accents in the grille with the Subaru logo. And then the beauty about the new Impreza is all trims now come standard with full LED headlights. The previous generation, you had to go for the top of the line limited trim only to get the LED headlights. Now you can see this RS, including the base and the sport, have the full LEDs with the LED daytime running light, LED low and high beams. You also have swiveling adaptive headlights, and then this model here also has the LED fog lights at the lower end with this kind of piano black accent. And then you can see here, there's a little bit of cladding here at the lower front skirt, but I think it's a little bit more tasteful. I really like the red exterior color of this model here in combination with some of the black accents. So let me know in the comment section below what you think of the styling. I do like the slightly sleeker looking headlights. It kind of gives me a little bit Mazda vibes when I look at the vehicle in terms of the profile. But coming around the side, this is still built off of their Subaru global product architecture. It has been enhanced. Subaru says the entire structure is about 10% stiffer this year. They've also retuned the suspension and they've retuned the steering. It has the dual axis steering that you get from the WRX, which Subaru says is going to give you better steering feel and also a little bit of a lighter feel, especially at parking lot speeds. And then over here, in terms of the wheels, the base version, I believe, will have a 16-inch wheel. The Sport and this RS will have an 18-inch wheel. You can see it's a really nice kind of dark graphite gray finish, which is kind of a little bit glossy. And you have 225/40 R18 tires. I really like the way the wheels look. It fills out the wheel wells nicely. And then again, no ugly cladding that you've been finding on several other Subaru models. I also really like this RS badge. You can see it spells out RS, and then it actually looks like two horizontally opposing pistons. You know, that's kind of an homage to Subaru and their boxer engines. That's what they've always been known for. Now over here on the side mirror, you can see it's black accented on this trim with an integrated turn signal mirror. There's just a standard sunroof. Subaru's not doing any kind of pano roof on a lot of their models, except for their most expensive one. And then down here at the lower skirt, you can see the RS has a gloss black accent here to kind of give it a more of a sportier vibe. Kind of almost looks like a side skirt, a little bit of a body kit. I also like how there's no chrome along the belt line, along the window trim. And then this model here doesn't have roof rails, but they did make sure to include the actual attachments for it, so you can easily go to the dealership or the aftermarket, get that roof rail installed. Subaru knows a lot of owners really like to add that feature because they tend to live an active lifestyle. Now looking at the rear, you can see the taillights are a little more controversial for me. They kind of have that C-shaped look that we first saw on the Solterra. It's kind of like an LED combination. The turn signal and reverse light, however, is just an incandescent design. You can see lots of badging. Subaru tends to put a lot of badging on their vehicles. There's that same new RS badge. The rear bumper also has a slightly more aggressive look here, although I'm surprised there's no visible exhaust tip here on this model, especially being the RS. There is no electrified option again, so kind of keep that in mind. But opening up the cargo area, no power liftgate. You don't really find that in a vehicle of this segment. And I don't have final figures just yet for the cargo. Subaru actually says it should be about the same. The current generation is around 20.8 cubic feet of space. And then if you want, you can also fold down this seat here, which expanded it out to around 55 in the previous generation. I am noticing there is a slight little ridge there when you fold that seat down, but it still provides a really good versatility, especially for those of you who are coming from a regular sedan. So the exterior of the new Impreza certainly looks different from the prior generation, but what about the interior? Now this model here that I'm showing you is the RS trim. I have to say this though, if you guys are looking for a limited with leather upholstery, Subaru actually got rid of that. So these are the kind of cloth seats that you get on the RS. I really like the way they look with the red, with the contrast stitching, the red accents. But keep in mind, if you guys want leather, Subaru no longer offers leather as a factory option. They actually said that the take rate was pretty low, which is why they decided to do away with the leather. Now, once I get in and shut the door has a nice solid sounding thunk. Remember, this is built off of the Subaru global product architecture. And overall, once I get in here, the interior really reminds me a lot of the other Subaru products, especially when you look at the infotainment screen. Most of the higher trims, so the Sport and the RS, will come standard with the larger 11.6-inch touchscreen display. You can see my phone is also paired up. This now has wireless Apple CarPlay and wireless Android Auto. My phone is already paired up and it looks fantastic. It's a huge improvement over the 8-inch display that you got in the prior generation. And then you can see the rest of the interior looks pretty familiar in terms of, you know, Subaru design language here. Let's start with the door panel materials. You can see this is a hard touch injection molded plastic area over here. This is nice and padded where you have the same kind of fabric from the seat put on the door panels. There's some silver paint or black painted plastic trim along the door handles and whatnot. This is a padded area over here where there's kind of like a faux leather material along the door armrest pad. The windows are one-touch automatic up-down for the front, however not for the rear. A lot of the window switches and controls feel like they've been pulled from every other Subaru product. The steering wheel, you can see, actually looks pretty much the same. It doesn't look any different than the previous generation Impreza. It is a tilt and telescoping steering wheel, which is definitely nice. You also have new features like their SI drive, where you can change the drive mode here between either a sport or an intelligent. It alters the way the CVT performs, the way the engine responsiveness performs. I'm not going to get a chance to drive this car for a few more months. But overall, you can see the instrument panel looks pretty much the same. The RS gets its own unique look for the gauge display with the RS badging and the red accents. I'm surprised Subaru didn't go with an all-digital display, but again, that's something that they technically aren't doing yet, and it kind of shows that they're a little bit behind in terms of the competition for tech. The dashboard, you can see here, this is actually a hard touch injection molded plastic, but if you look at this area, this is a soft touch area, which is nice. This is also hard touch. It's kind of got like a texturized look with more of that black painted plastic area. The glove box, you can see, open that up, it is damped. and it's a bin style. It's not lined with felt, but it's actually a pretty large size. And then over here, coming to the infotainment screen, this system, I've always really liked it in the Outback when they first introduced it. I do think that the software is a little bit laggy. However, this is a very early pre-production car, so I'm gonna have to wait until I get my hands on a full production version. You can see at the very top of the screen, you have your usual information where you can find vehicle stuff, you can do your trip computer stuff, weather. This was typically a separate screen, but it's now integrated into the one touch screen. You can see this is a full screen display for Apple CarPlay. They added that, I think, in 2021. And then down here you can see there's a couple of vehicle settings that you can change. You can really adjust whatever you'd like. And then you can see here there's your home screen and your widgets and whatnot. This model here looks like it does not have factory embedded GPS, which most cars nowadays are getting rid of that because you can just pull up GPS on your phone. So this is all pretty nice. It looks like this car has dual zone climate, which is also very nice to find. And then what I'm also noticing, the no heated seats in the screen, instead Subaru puts it here with these old school buttons that come out of the older 90s style Subarus, which some of you may prefer that. I don't like how the heated seat control is in the actual screen in the Outback. So it's nice to see an actual hard button. Now down over here you can see you've got two USB charging ports, a USB-A and a USB-C. There's also a wireless phone charging pad, which my iPhone 14 Pro Max fits very nicely in there. More piano black trim, which you can see gets a little bit dirty pretty easily. And then you have your two cup holders here. You have a traditional power outlet over here, along with your electronic parking brake. And then when you put the vehicle into reverse, you can see there's the backup camera. It's pretty rudimentary. It has distance markers and trajectory, but it doesn't actually take up the whole screen. Again, this is supposed to be the Impreza. It's their least expensive car, so I'm not expecting the best tech in it. But over here you can see the EyeSight, which is housed over here, is now standard across the board. So that's all of Subaru's driver assistance stuff. It now adds a third camera with a wide angle view that was taken out of the new 2022 Impreza, the Legacy and the Outback. So it is just a little bit more accurate when it uses the cameras to kind of check for pedestrians, check for other vehicles. It also has full speed range adaptive cruise control. Subaru's always been really good about their EyeSight driver assist technology. Over here you can see big padded center console area. Open this up, you can see it's a pretty decent size. There's no lighting in there or no power outlets. Instead, it's all found over here. And then above me here, you can see just a standard moonroof with a manual shade. Subaru doesn't do a pano roof on their smaller vehicles, but overall, you can see that map lighting is not LED. And then I suspect there's probably no LED accent lighting in this vehicle, considering the price point of this car. So I think Subaru made some nice key upgrades, especially for younger buyers. They really wanted the bigger screen. Love the fact that it has wireless CarPlay, but just keep in mind, if you guys want more upscale touches, like leather seats, for example, Subaru does not offer it on the new Impreza, at least from the factory. Moving into the back seat of the redesigned Impreza. Now, while I don't have final figures just yet, I will say that the previous generation had roughly 36.5 inches of space. Now, because the exterior dimensions Subaru tells us are the same, I suspect this is probably going to be similar in terms of the space. You can see somebody who's 5'7". There's plenty of room for me to kind of get comfortable. There's not a flat floor here for that. That's probably for the center drive shaft because this vehicle is all-wheel drive. But in terms of headroom space, I feel like it's pretty good, although those of you who are over 6 feet may find your head rubbing against the ceiling of the vehicle. You can see materials back here are kind of hard to touch plastic. It's what I expected considering the price point of this car. No rear seat air vents, sadly, especially on this top trim, but you do have two USB charging ports, a USB-C and a USB-A, along with one storage pocket over there, which is nice. And then over here you can see, thankfully, Subaru also includes an armrest that folds down and gives you two cup holders. So overall, the back seat is pretty much on par with a lot of the competition. I just would have liked to see Subaru put some rear seat air vents back here just to make rear passengers a little bit more comfortable, especially if you're looking for better airflow. So with a little over 40,000 units sold in America every year, the Impreza is obviously an important addition to the North American portfolio. And after spending a little bit of time looking at the fully redesigned version, I'm happy to say that there are some very good evolutionary changes. Obviously, Subaru tends to be a little bit conservative when it comes to their redesign, but I really like the direction they're going, especially with the exterior styling. I think this car here in the RS trim looks especially sporty. It definitely looks like they're targeting a younger customer. It's also nice that, again, just like every other Subaru, it comes standard with all-wheel drive. And then I also love the interior, how it has the larger 11.6-inch display with the wireless CarPlay. I think that's a nice addition that a lot of younger buyers are going to demand. I am a little surprised to see Subaru discontinue the sedan version, especially considering the fact that they claim that about 50% of customers tend to choose the sedan, and they also drop the manual transmission, which makes sense. Everybody tends to be shifting away from manuals anyways. They didn't mention anything of an electrification option, a hybrid powertrain, but I suspect we could see something like that whenever the company decides to introduce the next generation Crosstrek. Now, if you guys are looking to purchase this vehicle, you probably want to know when it's going to be available. Well, this is a 2024 model. In case you guys noticed, we are in November of 2022, so you won't be able to get your hands on this vehicle until the second quarter of 2023. So you still have a few more months to wait if you guys want to get your hands on this vehicle. And Subaru obviously doesn't have pricing available just yet. The current generation starts at just under $20,000. However, that's for the base sedan. So I suspect the hatchback is going to be more expensive. I'm going to say this car is going to start in the low $20,000 range. A fully loaded version of the prior generation was just under or just over $30,000. I suspect this RS version will also be right around the low $30,000 mark, which again is getting a little bit more expensive for an entry-level model, but I will argue that I think Subaru has really improved the technology, the design of this car, and most likely the driving experience to kind of justify that extra cost. But with all that said, hope you guys have enjoyed my brief first look overview on the fully redesigned 2024 Impreza. If you're also looking to see the latest cars I'm testing, be sure to follow me on Instagram at redline_reviews, like us on Facebook, and as always guys, please keep subscribing to the Redline Reviews YouTube channel for all the latest reviews. Thank you so much for watching. I'll catch you all in the next video.